I just got back from the store, still lugging the groceries I snagged earlier. From afar, I spotted over a dozen high-end rides parked right at the entrance of the Lin family's old home. As I approached the Lin family's doorstep, the loud buzz from inside reached my ears. It's been 3 years. I can't help but wonder what that girl has turned into. Did she morph into a country girl? She's just a young lady in title, an orphan living at the Lin household, yet she fancies herself a true heiress. Honestly, she has zero blood ties to the Lin family. It's all their generosity that kept her from ending up on the streets. Lily was young and clueless back then. I figure that after these 3 years, she's probably seen her errors. A soft female voice cut through my bitter thoughts, bringing a hush to the courtyard. That voice sounds so familiar. It's Mia's. She's also Ethan's first love, held tenderly in his arms. 3 years ago, after her dad died in a car crash, the Lin family took her in, while I was sent out to the countryside. When I was sent away, he said, "Mia's already lost her family and you're still talking trash. She's been so good to you all this time. Do you even have a conscience? Learn to be decent and sensible, and maybe I'll let you come back. Otherwise, you'll stay out there forever. I'm doing this for your own sake. If you don't change your attitude, forget about ever being my wife." For my own good? That's a nice line, but is favoring Mia still necessary in this situation? Just tossing me out to the countryside and ignoring me? He knew that by then, my emotions were on the brink. Hearing this now, I can't help but feel the irony. It was kind of nice of Mia not to hold it against her. If it were me, I'd totally make her stay in for a few years. Mia spoke softly, reminding everyone that Lily is still part of the Lin family. After her words, her eyes reddened slightly. "Mia, don't be sad. That idiot has already been dealt with. What do you think her face will be like when she sees us later? They'd definitely be bawling, then kneeling and begging to come back with you." Ethan sneered coldly. "It's been 3 years. Even a dog should have learned some manners by now. If not, then keep reforming her here." A chorus of agreement echoed around. "Well, I actually hope she hasn't learned her lesson so I can dodge her for good. Yeah, her shameless look grosses me out just thinking about her. But I remember you had a marriage contract, right?" Mia turned to Ethan, her eyes hopeful. "Let's see how she does." Lily looked away, feeling a bit let down by Ethan's words. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. There was no hiding my chuckle. The sound drifted into the small courtyard with the gentle breeze, startling a group of little kids nearby. The person nearest the door turned to glance at me, surprised and confused, shouting, "Lily?" Their shout caught everyone's attention in the courtyard. Is she really Lily? How? Wasn't she supposed to be a country girl? Listening to their chatter, I understood why they were so shocked. They thought I'd been tossed to the countryside for 3 years and must have turned into a rough, scruffy village girl by now. Not like me. I'm in a fitted long dress, a light knitted sweater, with a camera dangling around my neck. My hair and face are well kept, and my nails are nude-colored. I look nothing like a country girl. Ethan's gaze slowly landed on me, a bit surprised. "Lily?" He called my name, his tone distant, totally different from how he talks to Mia. I used to be upset and cry and make a scene, but not anymore. "Mr. Ethan," I greeted him politely, shifting the vegetable basket to my other hand. Ethan frowned slightly at my words. "It's only been 3 years. Do we really need to be this distant? I'm your fiancé, and this is how you treat me? Seems like it's too soon. You still haven't learned your manners. If you keep this up, I might have to call off our engagement." I gave him a light glance. What made him think that after 3 years, I'd still care about him? At 10, I became an orphan. Grandpa took me to the Lin family and announced my engagement to Ethan on the spot. From that moment, I knew I'd marry Ethan. Slowly, I let myself fall for him. At the peak of our relationship, he once said he loved me. He also said that when I was old enough to marry, he'd make it official. Until Mia came into the Lin family, everything changed. I watched as my love was slowly drained away, seeing his undeniable favoritism. I cried, made a fuss, and even started picking fights with Mia on purpose. But all I got back were accusations and anger. Later, Mia's necklace went missing. Ethan immediately came looking for me and questioned me. Even though I don't like Mia, I haven't sunk to stealing someone else's stuff. Plus, during that time, my cat, which I'd raised for 8 years, got sick and had to stay at the animal hospital. Ethan gave me the cat for my birthday. To take care of it, I rented a place near the pet hospital and hadn't been back to the Lynn family for a long time. I confronted Ethan with my head held high. Didn't expect Mia's necklace to show up in clothes I hadn't worn in ages. Ethan hit me and broke the only keepsake my parents left me. Seeing the bracelet shattered into pieces on the ground, I rushed towards Ethan like a madwoman. In the chaos, Mia tripped down the stairs. Later, Ethan sent me to the countryside. And my little cat didn't make it that summer. Seeing me silent, Ethan looked impatient. Just as he was about to lose it, I lifted the ring on my hand. "I'm sorry, Mr. Ethan. I'm already married." Hearing this, Ethan's brows furrowed even more. Mia stepped forward, linking her arm with Ethan's, looking at me like I was a kid throwing a tantrum. "Lily, you can't lie. I heard Ethan stopped your bank card. So these clothes of yours. You're young. Don't let shady folks trick you." As she spoke, Ethan finally glanced at my outfit, his expression growing colder. Maybe he was reminded of how he cut off all my financial support. In their eyes, without the Lynn family's money, I didn't deserve to wear such fine clothes. His friends all looked at me mockingly, one by one. Someone said, "Lily, you haven't been kept by anyone, right? In this remote countryside, the person who keeps you isn't one of those old guys in the village who can't find a wife, right?" Ethan's face darkened instantly, anger boiling over. "Lily, have you no shame at all? It's fine if you have none, but don't tarnish the Lynn family's reputation." Seeing him like this, it was clear he thought I had willingly fallen into depravity, becoming someone else's mistress. But Ethan, how long have we known each other? Even if you don't like me, you should at least know who I am. Do you really see me as someone who'd be a mistress for money? I looked around the room and coldly said, "Do you still have any shame? Did you come all this way just to act crazy?" "I, Lily, am not like you useless people. I don't rely on men. I don't depend on the Lynn family, and I can still live just fine." Ethan probably didn't expect me to fight back, and he was momentarily stunned. He let out a cold laugh. "Don't rely on the Lynn family, just you." "Lily, don't overestimate yourself. I know what you're thinking. You just want to grab my attention." Hearing this, I couldn't help but laugh in frustration. This guy seems to not get human language at all. Grab his attention? Does he even deserve that? I grabbed the eggs from the basket and tossed them over. Ethan was caught off guard and got a face full of egg. "Ah, Ethan!" Mia exclaimed in surprise. Ethan closed his eyes, raised his hand to wipe off the egg, and then reached towards me. I quickly stepped back and snorted coldly. "What, you want to hit me again?" Ethan paused for a moment, took a deep breath, and said, "Lily, you're doing great. Since that's the case, why don't you just stay here forever?" With that, he strutted away. The main guy left, and the little onlookers who came to watch naturally followed suit. Mia walked behind. When she reached my side, she whispered, "Lily, thanks. If it wasn't for you, Ethan wouldn't see my worth." I didn't respond. The things you flaunt are exactly the trash I've long thrown away. If you enjoy picking up garbage, go ahead and take it. After the others left, I carried the groceries and headed towards the house across from the Lynn family. Inside, a man was on a conference call. Seeing me come in, he muted the call and smiled as he took the basket from my hands. "I told you to wait for me to finish before we head out together. Aren't you tired?" I shook my head and followed him into the kitchen. "I buy the groceries and take some footage, you cook. It's only fair." The man suddenly stopped, and I, caught off guard, bumped straight into him. He turned around, bent down, and pinched my nose. I just heard a commotion outside. "What's going on?" Thinking about what just happened, I curled my lip. Ethan came and said he was here to take me back, but I gave him a lesson. Hearing this, the man frowned. Good to teach Ethan a lesson, so he knows right from wrong. I looked at him, raising an eyebrow. "Is that it?" He smiled slightly and suddenly picked me up around the waist, carrying me toward the bedroom. "I know all about your past with him. Although I feel a bit jealous, what matters most is that you're here with me now." As he spoke, his lips were already moving closer. His kiss, fiery as ever, melted me little by little, making it hard to resist. I saw Ethan again a month later at Jessica's engagement party. She's my best friend, and this time, she specially drove to the countryside to invite me. Unable to resist her pleading, I reluctantly agreed. Seeing Ethan and Mia again was expected. As soon as Jessica saw them, she pulled me behind her like a protective mama hen, leaving her fiancé Mark to greet them. Mark is her fiancé and also a friend of Ethan. She pulled me to the corner. Lily, I'm sorry, forgot they'd come too. I smiled and shook my head. I'd been with the Lynn family for so many years, and our circles overlap a lot. They'll show up. It's normal. It's okay. I haven't cared about it for a long time since I'm already married. Jessica was taken aback, looking at me in disbelief. You got married? When did this happen? How come I didn't know? Half a year ago. Jessica stared at me for a while, then suddenly laughed. Deadbeat. I knew it. With someone as good as you, how could you possibly hang yourself from a crooked tree like Ethan? That's more like it. We don't care about someone like Ethan. Smiling, she suddenly had tears in her eyes. I knew she was happy for me. When Mia first appeared, she kept trying to persuade me, but I couldn't let it go. I was determined to move on. Now, I've let it go. After crying, she glared at me and said, Then why didn't you bring him to show me? Or do you not consider me a good sister? He's on a business trip. I smiled apologetically. He won't be back until tonight. Next time, I'll bring him along to treat you to dinner. Jessica nodded in satisfaction. Suddenly, she took my hand and walked to the center of the crowd, grabbing the microphone and drawing everyone's attention. She said with a bright smile, Everyone, today I have some good news to announce. She pulled me close and introduced me solemnly. This is my good friend Lily. She's married. Let's all congratulate her. As the words fell, the scene went silent. Most people at this engagement party were from our circle. Many knew that the Lynn family's eldest son, Ethan, was engaged to someone named Lily, but they hadn't heard about Ethan getting married. Jessica, who loved to stir things up, looked around and asked with a smile, What's wrong? My best friend is getting married. Aren't you happy? Everyone snapped out of it and laughed in agreement. How could they not be happy? Happy, happy. Congrats, congrats. May you have a harmonious union for 100 years, and may you have kids soon. Amidst the crowd's blessings, I kept smiling and nodding gently. Mia walked up to me at that moment. She held a wine glass and looked at me with concern. Lily, you've been living in the countryside for the past 2 years. Now suddenly getting married. Were you deceived by those shady folks out there? I know you're still mad about Ethan sending you to the countryside, but he did it for your own good. You're young, don't act impulsively out of anger. Marriage is a big deal. You need to be careful. Mia, are you meddling too much? Even if I marry a jerk, it's none of your business. I couldn't help but interrupt her. I really hate her. Clearly, she doesn't like me, yet she always pretends to care. She was like this when we were at the Lynn family's place too. Then I slowly became someone the Lynn family didn't like. As for her, she became the one everyone understood. Seeing this trick too many times, I found it boring. Interrupting her, Mia's eyes immediately turned red. And Ethan happened to walk over at just the right moment. He looked at me and after a long pause, slowly spoke. Lily, enough is enough. After the banquet, I waited alone by the roadside for a taxi. Ethan's car stopped in front of me, his expression indifferent. Get in. I shook my head. No need, my husband will come to pick me up. Ethan scoffed and said, Lily, how much longer are you going to keep pretending? It's one thing to fool others. In this city, who doesn't know that I like you so much I could die for you? With someone like you, who'd want to marry you? Hurry up and get in the car, and I won't hold you back from running back to Jiangcheng on your own. When Ethan spoke, his tone was harsh. Seeing me still standing there motionless, his brows furrowed, and a hint of disgust on his face. Have you really been kept by someone? Who's so blind? Hearing him say this, I smiled faintly. Mr. Ethan, have you ever been kept by someone? Otherwise, how could you think everyone else is being kept? Only those with dirty hearts think others are dirty when they look at them? Ethan looked like he just swallowed a fly. He glared at me fiercely. Lily, how did you become like this? Seeing his heartbroken expression, one might think he was truly suffering from deep heartache. But I hadn't changed at all. I'd always been sharp-tongued since I was little, and for that, my mother scolded me many times. Later, when I went to the Lynn family, my temperament didn't change either. I remember the first time I confronted someone at the Lynn family, Ethan was laughing beside me. He said girls should be strong so they won't get bullied. It was only later when Mia appeared that he began to find me lacking in grace and gentleness. So I simply reined in all my sharpness. Now, I'm no longer willing to change for him. Mia sat quietly in the passenger seat, listening to Ethan and me talk. Seeing Ethan like this, a hint of a smile flickered in her eyes. Then, the understanding one advised, "Lily, how can you talk to Ethan like that? He's doing this for your own good. Shut up." I rolled my eyes and looked at her speechlessly. "Not speaking, no one will treat you like a mute. I'm talking to Ethan. What does it have to do with you?" Mia was silenced by me, her expression awkward. At that moment, a pink sports car pulled up behind me and honked its horn. Without even glancing at the two people, I strode over and got into the car. Amidst the roar of the engine, I could still hear Ethan's furious shouts. One night, I received a call from an unknown number. I answered, and the caller was Will, Ethan's good friend. "Lily, what are you doing?" I turned off the music. "It's prenatal education." "Is prenatal education the kind I'm thinking of?" I nodded. "Yeah, it should be." "Will, stop joking. You and Ethan haven't seen each other for so long. How could you possibly be pregnant?" I replied softly. "The child isn't his." Will raised his voice. "No way. You really got married and you're pregnant?" I retorted. "What, can I get married and have a baby?" "No. It's just that you and Ethan have always been engaged, and you've always liked him. How could you suddenly get married? You must be lying, right?" Hearing this, I laughed. "Why does it seem like I'm trying to deceive? Marriage is a big deal. How could I use something like this to trick anyone? Really getting married," I paused. "I'll invite you to the wedding when it happens." As soon as the words fell, a burst of noisy sounds came from the other end. Then, the call was disconnected. I didn't take it to heart either. 9 out of 10 of Ethan's friends thought I wasn't good enough for him, even when Ethan treated me the best. As soon as Mia appeared, they looked down on me even more. I heard them talk trash about me many times. A little later, another call came in. It was from Ethan. Upon answering the phone, I hadn't even had a chance to speak when the voice on the other end said, "Lily, go get rid of the child." I just found it a bit funny. "Ethan, go get rid of the child." I found it a bit funny. "Are you okay?" Ethan's voice grew even angrier. "Lily, I told you to go get rid of the baby." His voice was loud enough to carry far even without a microphone. I moved the phone away from my ear and said coldly, "If you have nothing else, then I'm hanging up. You don't understand, do you? Where are you now?" Having known Ethan for so many years, I'd seen him lose his temper countless times. So hearing his roar of anger, I felt nothing. The voice on the other end continued to press for answers. Suddenly, someone pulled the phone away from behind me. Then, I heard Jason's deep, magnetic voice. "Lily is going to sleep now. Let's talk about it another day." After saying this, he hung up the phone without waiting for a response. I turned my head and met a pair of smiling eyes. He lifted me up around the waist, and I wrapped my arms around his neck. In my breath, I could still smell the scent of his favorite peach-scented shower gel. I gently nudged him, and his laughter echoed above me. "Seems I need to put in more effort, otherwise all your prenatal education will be in vain." I started to laugh too. "I'm just talking nonsense." Jason leaned down and kissed my lips, murmuring, "It won't be long now." 3 days later, I returned to the Lin family. Jason and I went to see Grandpa Lin. He was the one who brought me back to the Lin family all those years ago, and he treated me like a beloved granddaughter all these years. However, in recent years, his health had greatly declined, and he was often abroad for treatment. This time, he returned to celebrate his 80th birthday, and it was said that after the celebration, he would go abroad again to continue his recovery. After meeting Grandpa, Jason received a phone call and went to the backyard, while I looked for him standing in the corner. I thought he wouldn't come back. I turned to look at Ethan, who had somehow walked up behind me. He was looking at me with a gloomy expression. I ignored his look and smiled. "It's Grandpa's birthday. Of course I'm coming back. By the way, I'll bring my husband to meet him." Ethan looked at me coldly. "What, you have new tricks up your sleeve? Have you been thinking every day in the countryside about how to piss me off when you come back? Let me tell you, stop dreaming. I will never marry you. I'll tell Grandpa right away to break off our engagement. Speaking of which," he glanced at my belly, "just get out of the Lin family with the wild child in your womb. I never want to see you again." As soon as the words fell, a voice as warm and gentle as jade came through. "Oh, young master, what great authority you have. I didn't even know the Lin family was under your command." Ethan's body stiffened as he turned to look at the newcomer. "Uncle." Jason walked over to me, took my hand, and looked at the young nephew in front of us. "I wouldn't dare be your uncle. You've even dared to drive your aunt away." Ethan's face turned pale. His gaze was fixed tightly on the hands Jason and I were holding, and he spoke with a slight stutter. You say she's my aunt by marriage, Lily, and you?" Jason glanced at him lightly, his voice turning a bit cold. "She's your aunt by marriage, and you just call her by her name like that?" Ethan's face was ashen, but soon he returned to his usual self. Even during the later family banquet, he maintained his usual demeanor as if everything that had just happened didn't concern him at all. The birthday banquet was over. Jason went to drive, while I stood at the door, waiting for him. In the pause of waiting, Ethan suddenly appeared and pulled me into a secluded corner. He looked at me with icy eyes, gritting his teeth as he said, "Lily, you did this on purpose, didn't you? You and Uncle are putting on a show for me, aren't you?" I looked at him. "You're overthinking it. If it were acting, I wouldn't have come here with him." Back then, because of Ethan's parents' divorce, the two families had a very unpleasant fallout. If it weren't for me, Jason wouldn't have come here on his own. Moreover, Grandpa is really good to me. No matter what, I would never deceive him. Ethan had always known about these things. He was just too angry to think clearly now. He let out a cold laugh. "So you're doing this to get back at me, right? To take revenge for how I left you in the countryside, for Mia." "Lily, I told you, as long as you behave, you will become my wife. Look at what you're doing now." Looking into his crimson eyes, I suddenly thought of the day Mia first arrived at the Lin family. Ethan promised me that even if there were 10,000 Mias, none could compare to me. He said I would always be his little princess, the one he loves the most. But later, he blamed me time and again for Mia. And in the end, he even hit me. I still remember the crisp sound of the jade bracelet falling to the ground, as if my heart had shattered into countless pieces with a thud. I turned my gaze away and looked at the flowers blooming vibrantly not far away. "Ethan, from the moment you shielded Mia behind you, you should have known that we have no future. I, Lily, am not a magnanimous person. I cannot let go of past grievances. So, between us, it's like that shattered jade bracelet, impossible to return to the way things were. Now that Jason and I are married, and you have Mia by your side, let's each be well." A complex expression flashed across Ethan's face. He was silent for a moment and said, "Lily, are you really that heartless? I do have feelings for you, really. I just feel sorry for Mia. Both her parents are gone." His voice trembled slightly, as if he were trying to control his emotions. Hearing this, I could only scoff with a sneer. Mia, is pitiful for having lost her mom and dad. But what about me? I lost my parents when I was 5, and at 10, my only companion, my grandfather, also passed away. Am I not pitiable? How biased must a person be to say something like that? If he truly cared for me, how could he have left me in the countryside for 3 years, without a word or concern? I looked at him and softly asked, "Ethan, do you remember why I came to the Lin family?" Ethan's body stiffened, and then his face turned pale. He opened his mouth, wanting to explain, but in the end, he said nothing. I didn't see his expression. I just rolled up my sleeves to show him the scar on my hand. "You may not know this, but when you first sent me to the countryside, I fell into depression and attempted suicide several times. So many times, I thought I couldn't go on living. But fortunately, in the end, I persevered and met someone who truly loves me." Just then, not far away, the car lights flickered. It was Jason. He had arrived, so I took my leave first. He lowered his head in silence. I broke free from his tight grip and turned to leave. It was only after the bus had traveled a long distance that I received a message from Ethan. "Lily, you said you would only marry me in this lifetime." Yes, I did say that. When I loved Ethan the most, I thought I would definitely marry him in the future. I believed that Ethan would only love me in this lifetime. So I spoke those words with unwavering certainty. But now I have gone back on my word. Because it was you who turned away first, Ethan. I didn't reply to the message and casually tossed my phone into the back seat. Jason glanced at me and asked, "Is it that kid, Ethan?" I nodded gently. Hmm? That kid has really been out of line these years, thinking everything belongs to him. It will be fine once he figures it out. Hearing this, I smiled and looked at him. What's wrong? Aren't you jealous at all? This guy is not a generous person. He previously forced me to throw away everything I brought from the Lin family to the countryside. Jason didn't say a word, but soon found a secluded spot to park. He bit my lip while saying in a harsh tone, "Who told me to love you? Then I have to accept everything about your past. Besides, you are my wife now, and I won't let you get lost." I smiled and kissed him back. Not only would he not lose me, but I also wouldn't lose him. After that day, I never saw Ethan again. Jessica asked me to go shopping, and while walking, she couldn't help but complain about Ethan. Ethan is just a lunatic, not quite right in the head. Hearing Mark say that on the night of my engagement, he suddenly smashed the bar to pieces for no reason. If you didn't know better, you'd think he had a crush on me. As she spoke, she couldn't help but laugh. After laughing, she continued, "Well, it's been a while since I've seen Ethan. A couple of days ago, Mia Tasoi even asked Mark if he had seen him. Where do you think this guy has gone?" I slid my fingers over a row of clothes. Who knows? That night I was blocked at my doorstep. Ethan, reeking of alcohol, was standing in my way. "Lily, I had a nightmare yesterday, dreaming that you got married to my uncle. You told me that all of this is fake, right? You said you would marry me. You said you would only marry me. How could you possibly marry someone else?" I looked at him and took out my phone to call Jason. Just as the call connected, he suddenly snatched the phone away and smashed it hard onto the ground. "He had red eyes, Lily. You say it? Say that you only love me. Say that you will only marry me. Say it. You told me that you and Jason are both liars. That it's all fake, right?" He slowly knelt before me, his tone humble, as if he were begging. This is an Ethan I have never seen before. He looked as if he truly loved me. If it were in the past, I would definitely hold him and cry my heart out. But now, everything has changed, and people are no longer the same. I looked down at him from above, my tone indifferent. "Ethan, if you want to play the role of the passionate lover, then please go find Mia. I don't need that." He lowered his head, and I couldn't see his expression. After a long while, he slowly spoke. "Lily, I already know I was wrong. I went to the countryside these past few days and saw all the traces of your life over the past 3 years. I met the psychologist you used to see. I already know I was wrong. If possible, could you give me a chance to make up for the hurt I've caused you all these years? I can take you to a place where no one knows, just the two of us together. I will make you the happiest woman in the world. Is it good, Lily?" "No," I said. "It's over between us, just like my jade bracelet, which has long been broken." After saying that, I stepped past him, ready to leave. He held my hand, saying nothing, but I could feel his hand trembling slightly. But I ignored it and just started to smile as I watched him walk slowly towards me. Jason approached with a stern expression, first pulling away the hand that was gripping my arm. Then, he pulled Ethan up. With each punch, the fists met flesh. He only stopped when he had beaten Ethan to a pulp, leaving him bruised and battered. "Ethan, for the sake of you being my nephew, I'll let you off this time. But never let me see you again, and don't look for my wife anymore. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude." After saying that, he wiped his hands clean and came over to take my hand, leading me home. Ethan lay on the ground like a discarded rag, motionless. That day, Jason had been bothering me for a long time, and Ethan hasn't come to find me since. The next meeting was at a seminar. He looked gone, and Mia was by his side. I politely nodded to them, and then went to find my seat on my own. When I left, I could feel his gaze lingering on me. During the break, Mia found me. "Lily, since you've already married Ethan's uncle, could you please keep your distance from him and stop looking for ways to get close to him, okay? Do you know how he's been spending his days? He's even given up his life for you." I raised my gaze to meet hers. Still so self-righteous, so utterly annoying. I said coldly, "Mia, what he wants to do has nothing to do with me. And this time, The seminar was organized by the hosts who invited me. I don't have such great influence to sway the organizers. This seminar is led by government departments, and those who can participate are individuals who have made contributions in various fields. As long as Mia isn't foolish, she should know that I couldn't have been invited here casually. Hearing this, her expression froze for a moment, clearly realizing the situation as well. She hesitated, wanting to continue speaking. But I'm not Ethan. I won't indulge her. Moreover, I am Ethan's aunt by marriage, and since you are friends with him, that makes me your elder as well. Has no one taught you how to speak to your elders? Upon hearing this, her expression stiffened. She wasn't unaware. She had just grown accustomed to it. I have become accustomed to being placed in a low position, which is why my words are so unrestrained. She bit her lip, hesitating for a long time, but still didn't call me aunt, and after seeing my smile, she gritted her teeth and said, "Lily, what are you so proud of? Isn't it just because of Jason that you could come here? What's so great about that? Don't think I don't know. You're going to marry Jason. Isn't it just because he has more money?" I didn't respond, just looked behind her. "Ethan, you came at the right time. Quickly take her away." Mia was startled and turned to see Ethan behind her, his face dark with anger. She panicked and opened her mouth to explain, but before she could say anything, Ethan forcefully pulled her towards the entrance of the venue. Seeing her leave, I felt a twinge of regret, regretting that she hadn't seen me being invited on stage to speak as an outstanding representative. So she doesn't know that I don't need to rely on a man. I am my own support. In the second half of the seminar, I was invited by the organizers to speak on stage. From the moment I stood up, I could feel a gaze fixed intently on me, lingering until I reached the front of the stage and stood still. I didn't seek out that gaze, but instead began my speech. "Hello, everyone. I am Lily." As the last sentence fell, warm applause erupted in the venue. I smiled lightly and looked down at the audience, then inadvertently locked eyes with Ethan for a moment. There was something in his gaze that I had never seen before, admiration. I pretended not to see and silently turned my head. Until the meeting ended, Ethan walked against the crowd and came up to me. He looked at me for a long time before slowly speaking. "Lily, I didn't expect you to be this impressive now." I looked at him. "I have to thank you for this. 3 years ago, I was sent to the countryside, all alone and without support. In the first year, I fell into depression and even attempted suicide. The last time I was hospitalized for suicide, the patient in the bed next to mine loved to make videos. She said she wanted to record all the beautiful things in the world, so that her time in this world wouldn't be in vain. At that moment, I suddenly understood and began to learn to record all the beautiful things around me with video. Next, through the video, I learned about many wonderful intangible cultural heritages. They are also striving not to be forgotten, striving to make the most of their remaining warmth. It's just like me, as I strive to find the meaning of my future. Thus, intangible cultural heritage began to appear in my videos. At first, I simply hoped that they would not be forgotten because forgetting is equivalent to disappearing. To my surprise, after the video was released, it garnered a lot of attention, and I became a somewhat notable video blogger. A year later, I met Jason. He was ill and returned to the countryside to recuperate. At that time, I was still living in the old Lynn family residence, and I would take some daily footage every day. He suddenly appeared in front of my camera while I was shooting a scene in heavy snow. Noticing my lens, he not only didn't hide, but instead broke into a smile. He said, "You must be the video blogger, Evening Breeze. My name is Jason, and I've wanted to meet you for a long time." Later, he accompanied me as we traveled far and wide, experiencing many intangible cultural heritages. During the production of A Phoenix Crown in one episode, he proposed to me. Thinking of the past, I smiled faintly. Seeing my smile, Ethan was momentarily lost in thought. His expression was somewhat nostalgic, yet also a bit sorrowful. I didn't know what he was thinking of, nor did I want to know. I tucked my wind-tousled hair behind my ear and was about to leave. As I was about to walk past him and leave, he suddenly reached out his hand in front of me. I instinctively took a step back, and only after standing still did I see clearly what he was holding in his hand. It was a jade bracelet. It resembles the one left by my parents, about 70% alike. He said, "This jade bracelet is my compensation to you. Don't you think it looks a lot like yours?" His tone was still filled with anticipation. But my attention wasn't on the jade bracelet, but on the scar on his wrist, a scar that looked very much like mine. He noticed my gaze and gave a faint smile. I thought, after all, there is something we both share. I looked up at him. Then I sighed. Ethan, you should know. Between us, it ended 3 years ago. What you're doing now is nothing but a disturbance to me. No matter how much you refuse to believe it, I am already married. So please don't appear in front of me again, okay? With every word I spoke, Ethan's face turned a shade paler. After I finished, I didn't look at him and simply brushed past him. Behind me, there was the sound of a jade bracelet falling to the ground, along with muffled sobs. After that day, I really never saw Ethan again. Even when I went to the Lin family to visit Grandpa Lin, I never encountered him. Even Mia had disappeared. Later, I learned that Mia had moved out of the Lin family at Ethan's insistence. Moreover, Ethan and Mia had cut off contact. Mia has been searching everywhere for Ethan during this time, but Ethan has been avoiding her all along. For this reason, Mia came to find me a few times. However, each time she appeared for just a few minutes, the next moment someone would come to forcibly take her away. I asked Jason. It wasn't him. I originally thought that the days ahead would continue like this, but I never thought that one day I would hear about Ethan in this way. His brother called me. His words filled with anger. They said that for more than half a year he had been drinking heavily, hardly ever sober. But 2 days ago, he woke up in the middle of the night suddenly shouting that he wanted to find me. As a result, he got into a car accident. The person was saved, but their leg was severely injured and they may never be able to stand up again. We all tried to stop him, but we still couldn't. Will said hoarsely, "Tomorrow is your birthday. He has already missed it for 3 years. He can't miss it again this year." He cried so sadly that it made us feel upset as well. If we had known earlier, we shouldn't have let him do as he pleased. Lily, he did it all for you. I leaned against Jason's embrace, touched my belly, and silently hung up the phone. Jason leaned down and kissed my hair, comforting me. It's not your fault. I know, I just feel it's a bit absurd. When a person is by your side, you don't know how to cherish them. When they leave, why pretend to be deeply sentimental? Late-coming affection is worth less than grass. I've always understood this principle. That's why I have never gone to see him even once. Late at night, half a month later, I received a message. Ethan sent this. Lily, I'm sorry. I didn't reply because the story between him and me had long since come to an end. From then on, spring and autumn had no connection, and the wind and moon were unrelated.